Hello, everybody. This is your local idiot again. I had a tiny little thought about my last tiny little thought. I thought I'd share that with you. Sorry. So here's the deal. I was doing my last video, and I sort of was going along as always, as per the norm for me. But I was talking a little bit about the election, and I just realized I didn't want to give people the wrong idea about how I saw the unexpected results. I mentioned that the black man vote and the Hispanic man vote was something that we didn't expect to be so big, and that would change things so drastically. But white males in America supposedly voted 74% for Trump, which is, I mean, the reason I didn't mention it was because I think everybody knows that white men are just retarded when it comes to, I mean, there wouldn't be a Trump movement, a MAGA, if it wasn't for white men, period. I don't think anybody expected white men to do anything different. Maybe the sheer percentage was insane, but at the same time, I don't think anybody thought that there was going to be a shortage of white men voting. So anyway, women in general did not, for the most part, crazily vote. I find it really disappointing that the numbers of women voted the way they did, which tells me that it's people that just aren't paying attention to what's at stake for women of all races and stuff and nationalities. The only thing that surprised me at all really was the way Hispanic men and black men voted. But I mean, it also wasn't that surprising. I saw that coming for years, you know. Mostly the Hispanic men, because I've got, like I mentioned, I've got several friends that are Hispanic, and they were kind of all going that way. I just couldn't see how they were, you know, using logic at the same time. But I saw how it was being, I saw how they were being manipulated, and unfortunately, it was a really well done game that was run on them. And same thing with the black men. They, with both Hispanic and black men, they attacked really individual parts of their culture, and just kept pushing that button with great success. You know, and like white men too, you know, and not just white men, just white people in general. There's a lot of lower income, undereducated white people, and just people in general, that are really exasperated and fed up with this class war that's been happening. And it's really not as big of a deal as it's been played up to be, but it was very emphasized by the machine that Russia and everybody else put into place. Very, very, very emphasized. Russia is basically a pump that gets primed. Russia started it, but it was designed to make us take it over and push it, which worked beautifully. It was a very multi-layered thing that came from all directions, but they started it in the 80s, believe it or not, and it literally has been working like clockwork ever since. And a lot of it has been self-actuating, where that, you know, once it got started decades and decades ago, it has continued to grow in that way. So I don't want anybody to have the idea that I'm picking on an ethnicity at all. In fact, really the worst people, numbers wise, that contributed to this fall in the United States is white men. I just didn't mention them in the beginning, in the first video, simply because it was so predictable. That was something that was like a no-brainer that was going to happen. The thing that was really a game changer was this other. And then, of course, I didn't even mention this, but the Pennsylvania was a swing state, and like any good chess maneuver, and somebody who's really paying, people need to really pay attention. But the Amish community in Pennsylvania was wronged badly by the U.S. government, and in the last few years, during the Biden administration, and I really believe they were wronged, because it was, even though I saw the whole, it was a health and safety issue and stuff, it wasn't. It was done really ham-handedly, and they weren't included in how the decisions were made enough. And it was basically, they were basically forced to do stuff. Nobody likes that. Everybody revolts from that. We've never had them in the election process in American history, basically, as far as I know. And Trump and Musk and a few people really capitalized on that in a swing state. And so they got, I don't know, hundreds, at least, I don't know, probably 100,000 votes, something like that, in a swing state. That was I would say the Democratic campaign, regardless of who was running, was handled very poorly by the Democratic Party, I guess, because it was a failure of imagination. Kind of like 9/11 was a failure of imagination. People, even though I really think it was a little bit more something else, but it was people failed to see it coming from some places that maybe weren't so obvious, but they were definitely something would be obvious from the perspective of a person in charge of running a campaign. And it was just not taken seriously enough, almost to the level of malpractice. I'd like to see some people involved there. I mean, hell, anything's possible, as well as the Russian intelligence apparatus played this long psyop, this long con on us. As well as they did that, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if one of the chess moves, one of the little moves that they had, was to populate the Democratic Party with people that were in important positions, but that were going to drag their feet at the right times, or whatever the case may be, because that's how you run a really comprehensive con. You cover all the bases, and then when you think you've covered all the bases, you look for ones that are weird that you haven't covered yet. Not the first, second, third home, not those. Then pretty soon you're covering bases that nobody's ever really thought about, and that's the Russian government is a master at that. And at best, that's it. That's exactly what happened. At best, I mean, we may find out that there was some really good quality hacking going on, but I don't think so. Our government, our personal government in America, we have the NSA, and those people are unparalleled in their ability to. They know some scary stuff. The level of stuff that they know is amazing, and stuff that I could never comprehend, frankly. But I know enough to know that we don't have any rivals. The closest we have that way is not Russia. It's Iran and China. But even they don't rival us with the NSA, comparatively to the NSA. No. So I really don't think people are talking about the math doesn't math and all this kind of stuff. I'm with you. My head can't wrap I can't wrap my head around how that has gone so decisively, other than to do the easy thing and say, I think there's something like, they stole the election. But we know how easy it is to say that. And we know how people can get as carried away as possible by saying that. And everything that I saw was the way a democratic election is supposed to happen. And some guy came on and said, we're not a democracy. America's not a democracy. We're a democratic republic. And he made sure to not capitalize democratic, but capitalize republic, as if that's a democratic and republican thing. It's not. We are a democratic republic, but it means we're a democracy. We are a democracy. We are also represented. We're a representative democracy. There's no monarchy. That is the only difference, that there's no monarchy between us and a lot of the rest of the world. So we are a democracy. We are a republic because of how our system of government is set up. But to say that we're not a democracy is just somebody who doesn't know what a democracy is. And you should read some more books. And you should stop listening to people that are biased. Like I actually looked it up just for GP to see what people are seeing. And there's a couple of echo chamber places that in print said we're not a democracy. And then I read further, and they were a really hard right-wing place that was trying to counteract people like me, saying that, hey, we're not you don't understand, it's not a democracy or republic, we're both, and look up the definition of both, and you'll see that we're both, and they're very similar to each other. The only difference is that elected representatives and stuff like that. So we're two things at the same time, but it also means that we are a democracy. All right. Read more carefully. Rather than just reading what you want to see, read what is actually written and get it from more than one source so you can see. Just remember, the actual dictionary, Webster's dictionary and stuff like that. Go back to older dictionaries even, to see what those things are. And because it's been argued literally in America since our inception. A lot of people that are really, really, really legalistic wanted to know that for sure the definition of every little syllable to make sure that everything, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, right? And I get that. But there's a lot of people totally misunderstanding the whole democratic republic thing, and they're looking at like the political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. That has nothing to do with the fact that we're a democratic republic. We're not one more than the other. We're both equally at the same time. Anyway, so that person that fired back, that I'm not going to call him a fool, because I think it's possible that a lot of people could get that wrong. He's only a fool if he doesn't do his follow-up and research it for himself and go farther than seeing it in print, but it's been printed by or uploaded by places that are really hardcore extremist, one direction or the other. That's when he's a fool, and there's lots of those. There's lots of those that don't even get that far. Okay, but anyway, so I didn't want to seem to people that I wasn't considering all parties. I'm very surprised that women voted as much as they did, even though they didn't vote very much toward Trump. They voted way more than I thought they would have, given all the bullshit Trump said that he wants to do to women, and all of his type are saying like they want to take away their right to vote and shit. But then even more than that, the people that are doing the protest votes, what do they think? What did they think when Trump won was going to happen to Palestine? I mean, the only individuals anywhere that have been saying anything to Israel just to get them to slow down has been the people they've just made sure couldn't be in office. And Trump's going to solve the Ukraine thing by saying, "Hey, Ukraine, give up. We're not going to help you anymore. We're taking all the stuff that we were giving you. We're going to stop giving it now." Now, also to the Palestinians, the people who do the Palestinian protest votes. We were already giving stuff to Israel. You know what we could be giving to Israel? Help. Like jets, our pilots. I mean, Trump, I could totally see him doing that. He's got this big fake thing going on with Israel because he has a lot of money-making friends in Israel that are willing to buy his services as a president, which he is willing to sell easily. He's come right out and said that many times. So the people that were doing a Palestinian protest vote thing, wow, you guys just fucked yourselves really bad. And a lot of other people too, not just you. I mean, as if what's happened isn't bad enough, it's going to get worse. And then black and Hispanic men, nobody's getting out of this scot-free. Nobody. Not white men, not women of any type. I mean, cats and dogs are probably going to get eaten now for sure because Trump's going to say, "See, I wasn't lying. I wasn't wrong." And if you look really carefully, you'll see some cat fur in his teeth or something. You got, all of us, anybody that didn't vote against Trump, because I wanted Harris in, but I wasn't really voting for Harris as much as I was voting against Trump. Anybody who didn't vote against Trump to get the only other party that could have possibly beat him in, which was the Democratic Party, the Jill Stein, Bernie, and Kennedy votes, all that was just absolute stupidity from 2016 and now. And anybody who voted those directions out of conscience or whatever, you gave it to Trump. You made sure that whatever Trump does, you own it. You voted for Trump that way. I don't know if those people's little tiny minds can grasp that, but we're in for catastrophic times coming up. And it's going to affect a lot of people. And me as a white male, probably least of all. But World War II was fought against a bunch of other white males in Germany back when Hitler was having his way. And it wasn't about race. Jewish people are white for the most part. And it really doesn't matter. Not according to Hitler. Hitler wanted everybody but Germans dead. By extension, Putin, then by extension, Trump. It just continues over and over again. We fought World War II for a really great purpose, and now we're about to. We have a World War II, but within our own country, or our own country is going to become one of the bad guys. Like Russia is, like China is, like North Korea is. The might of the United States government is going to be at the beck and call of Putin. I just can't even picture that. A place I would have happily given my life for all my life. I can't picture that weapon now is going to be used against all that I hold dear and good. So every chance you get, think about this. Because if you're not one of the people that voted against Trump and for the Democratic Party, which is the only way to get Trump not elected, then you need to really think about this every day until you figure it out. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any Trump supporters. I don't hate, the closest I could possibly get is hating, like Klan members and shit like that. Nazis. I hate neo-Nazis. I guess I hate Klan members. Hate's a really strong word because generally when I say I hate something, it means I want to kill them. And I hate to say that, but I don't hate any people that supported Trump, other than those two other categories. I sure wish you were smarter, though, if that was the case. Keep trying. Thanks. Bye.